So you want to get into heavy metal? Well, I got the perfect video for you, my dear viewer. Perhaps you want to get into heavy metal, or you have a friend or family member even that maybe you don't know where to start. There's a million bands, a lot of subgenres, and you're not sure what to recommend or how to get into metal. Well, I have 6 albums on this list that you can choose from that you could use to either introduce yourself into heavy metal or introduce a friend. I will also include some bonus or honorable mentions towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. I also just want to make some clarifications for the video. This is all my opinion. You guys obviously are completely free to disagree or agree with me. And I am going to base this list on popularity, mass appeal, and what I think would be a good representation of metal music, what I would personally recommend to somebody who is just getting into the genre. So a lot of these choices will be good entry points into the genre. Also, I'm not going to focus too much on subgenres. I might throw around some terms here and there, but for the most part, I am not going to focus on subgenres in this video because it's going to get ridiculous. There's like a million subgenres in metal, so I am primarily just going to focus on just good old heavy metal. Not going to complicate it too much. Like I said, I might mention some subgenres, but I'm not going to focus too much on that. I might just mention it here and there, but that's about it. Alright, without further ado, number 1 is Paranoid by Black Sabbath. This is a very obvious choice, in my opinion. I mean, they literally invented heavy metal, and I can think of multiple people personally that I know of that don't even listen to heavy metal like that, but they love Black Sabbath, or they're familiar with the band, right? In particular, their first 3 albums are revered as classics, and they're all amazing albums. They're a great way to kind of get into heavy metal. Just very, very easy. And I would go even as far as saying their first 5 albums, even, or at least up until Heaven and Hell, are all fantastic. I think all these albums are great to really show you what heavy metal really has to offer as far as the genre goes. Okay, at number 2, we have Master of Puppets by Metallica. A little bit more of an aggressive album, but again, I know a lot of people who don't even like metal like that, but they absolutely love Metallica. There's a lot of like bops on the on this album. There's also some slower, more melodic tracks as well. So I think this album is another great entry point into the world of heavy metal, or exploring the genre. I mean, they were literally one of the most popular metal bands of all time. The Black Album, too, is also another great option. Okay, so at number 3, a personal favorite, Toxicity by System of a Down. This was actually one of my first, like, true metal albums, I guess, that got me, like, really into the genre. You tend to see kind of a common trend with metalheads or metal fans is that they start off with the more accessible stuff, and then you just kind of naturally progress into heavier and more aggressive music. This album is very easy to recommend because so many great songs on here. It's a bit more of a unique metal album, especially with the very nice clean vocals from Serge and Darren, and they kind of complement each other very nicely on a lot of the tracks. Also, some amazing riffs. Okay, so at number 4, White Pony by Deftones. This album has absolutely exploded in popularity in recent years, so I feel like this is a very easy choice in my mind as far as metal album goes. It's also, again, I'm not going to get too into subgenres, but this album is a bit unique in the sense that it is alternative metal. This album is arguably the most accessible one on here because the vocals are extremely clean and very radio friendly, if you will. It's also very popular among a lot of female fans in the metal genre. So for any of my guy viewers out there, I got you. Deftones is a fantastic band. Again, they have a lot of very clean vocals. The riffs are, yes, it's metal, it's heavy, but it isn't like super abrasive or aggressive compared to some of the other albums on this list. Around the Fur also is another great album. Okay, so at number 5, we have Dirt by Alice in Chains. Bit of a controversial take. I've heard some debate online people saying whether this album actually truly is metal or not. In my mind, it absolutely is. The riffs, the vocals, it all definitely fits into metal in my ears anyway. But this album, another very easy recommendation, kind of falls in line with the grunge movement of the 90s. I mean, if you guys love bands like Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, if you like any of those bands, which everyone under the sun loves most of those bands, you are most definitely gonna like what you hear on Dirt by Alice in Chains. Another fantastic album. Okay, so moving on at number 6, we have Sunbather by Deaf Heaven. Now this might be a bit of a wild choice, because this album kind of falls into black metal, meaning the vocals are extremely harsh. They kind of fall into screamo territory. The vocals are not very clean at all on this album, so I would definitely say check out all of the previous albums before getting into this one, or maybe if you just want to jump into something that's like very heavy right off the bat, or after you expose yourself to some of the other albums, then okay, you can jump into this one. I will say though, as far as black metal albums go, this is by far and away the easiest one, or the most accessible one to kind of introduce yourself into the genre. I mean, heck, this was my first black metal album. It introduced me into a genre that I now love. Their most recent album as well, Lonely People with Power, is just another fantastic album. It's just more Sunbather. It's not as accessible as Sunbather, but I would say it's a fantastic album. Now, I wouldn't jump into Deaf Heaven right off the bat. I would this is a band you kind of get into once you got a little more accustomed to metal. Some honorable mentions include all of the albums you will see on the screen here. They're all great albums, but I didn't include them because either they're not as accessible as some of the other choices on the list, or they're a bit, dated or not as mass appeal as some of the other choices on the list. I will also include all of these albums in the description below in case you guys are curious about checking them out yourself. Again, all these albums are fantastic too, and they are all also great recommendations. If you want some more albums to check out on top of what is already presented on the list. Okay, so that is the video. That will conclude everything. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I would also love to hear what your guys' first metal album is, or what your experience is or was with any of these albums. Also, again, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Again, I love heavy metal. I love introducing other people to the genre, or I love hearing discussion around the different albums and genres. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.